Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So let us consider this video as a part 2 of the previous one, shall we? In the event that America has completely betrayed India's trust, all those empty promises of solidarity in the Indo-Pacific region have essentially been rendered meaningless by the unsolicited intervention and forced ceasefire imposed by President Donald Trump on top of India just when we were on the verge of exterminating Pakistan forever. Then we've come to China. China has been talking of better ties, talking of de escalation. But how the hell does your bloody de escalation work if you are supplying drones, if you are supplying satellite images, and if you are supplying long range air to air PL 15 missiles to Pakistan? Are you a power that wants to de-escalate, or do you want to mask your real intentions now that Trump tariffs are taking a toll on your economy? Do you just want to milk India's market and at the same time arm our primary adversary? And at the same time, there is a new pain in the neck, Bangladesh, where China is now negotiating for an air base, just kissing Indian borders, kissing the borders of Assam and West Bengal. We've got wars coming. If anything we've learned from this, there will be wars imposed upon us to drag us down. In the event that we have become the fourth largest economy today, congratulations to every Indian out there. There will be events to drag us down, and unfortunately, Washington and Beijing are on the same page, just as they were back in 1971. But guess what else resembles 1971? Is the closely knitted, warm, and trustworthy relationship between India and Russia. Yes, my dear friends. Well, Russia may not have said as much. They may have not commanded us to steamroll Pakistan. They may have not mobilized their army in support of us, which we didn't need today, thankfully. But the Russians don't talk, they deliver. And when the Russians deliver, the impact is harder than anything else. Point number one, just 12 hours into the attack, 12 hours into the Pahalgam terrorist attack, that is, President Vladimir Putin pinned down a letter addressed to the Indian government. It did include the cliche, we stand against terrorism in all its forms, but it did include a profound message that the perpetrators of this heinous crime have to be brought to justice. This, many people say, is a go ahead. It was a go ahead for India to take whatever military action we want within the bounds of international law, indeed. Then we must remember that Russia was the first non-South Asian country to command its citizens to leave Pakistan as soon as possible. So is it likely that New Delhi was engaging in intel sharing with Moscow about an imminent military strike? Could certainly be the case, but let us look at some concrete evidences now. The concrete evidence is the expedition of the delivery of the IGLA-S shoulder-mounted air defense system. Yes, this IGLA-S, the Vishoraj, is a state-of-the-art gun jointly produced between India and Russia under a license agreement. The order was worth 326 crores, and Russia stuck to its word. It stuck to the deadline that was negotiated on, and the Indian army got this valuable weapon added to its arsenal just in the nick of time. So thanks to the Russian Federation for honoring its commitment. Then, the delivery of the INS Tamal, a relative of the INS Tushil, a stealth frigate, a naval warship, that will be delivered to India by June. And the delivery timeline isn't so important in this. The fact that is important is the news breaking. The news broke just around 4 to 5 hours after the successful publication of the news of the Operation Sindoor as to how successfully that was concluded. So, could this be a coincidence? Or was it a strategically planned move by Moscow that just after India tells the world about its military success in Operation Sindoor's first phase, that Moscow, will decide and we'll declare to the world that we are with the Republic of India and we are arming them to the teeth to the greatest extent possible? Then we must not forget the aftermath of Op Sindoor. Just 12 hours after the unsolicited announcement of the ceasefire came from President Donald Trump, India and Russia inaugurated a plant, a high-tech plant for the production of BrahMos missiles. And it won't just push our missile arsenal upwards, it will also produce an upgraded version of the BrahMos that will be faster, deadlier, and stealthier. Almost impossible to stop. In fact, speaking of the BrahMos, this BrahMos, fired from the Su-30 MKI, another Russian origin platform, was really a nightmare for Pakistan. The thrust vectoring engines of the Su-30 MKI enabled it to come back yet again safely from the borders of Pakistan. The BrahMos struck precisely into air bases such as Jacobabad, such as Noor Khan, wreaking havoc upon the Pakistani military and forcing them to the diplomatic table. But there is one more Russian origin platform, my friends, which ensured that a huge number of people residing in northern and northwestern India woke up to see the mornings of 8th and 9th May. And that platform is none other than the steel wall defense, the S-400 Triumph. Yes, with the ability to track 100 targets at one point of time and to engage 36 targets just 9 to 10 seconds into the flight of the concerned projectile. This weapon system proved to be absolutely flawless. It was a brilliant decision. It speaks to the strategic depth that our leadership has. It speaks to the spine of our leadership, that it stood against the whole world. It ran the risk of being sanctioned under CATSA, but it ensured that the Indian people are safeguarded with the best possible system in the world. And kudos to the Indian military and kudos to the Russians for supplying us this state-of-the-art technology. And this worked exactly as we had analyzed in our Su-30 MKI versus JF-17 simulation, by the way. But there is one more offer. And I believe the proof of the pudding lies in this offer that Moscow has extended to New Delhi just yet again a day after the declaration of the ceasefire. The offer is that of the TOT and joint production of the S-500 Prometheus. Yes, this is the S-400 on steroids. If you think the S-400 is good, this system will be godly, my dear friends. With a detection range of about 800 kilometers, covering vast tracts of not just Pakistan, but even more than 70% of China, and a target engagement length horizontally, it can engage targets at distances as far as 600 kilometers. Vertically, it can engage targets at heights of 200 kilometers, thereby even those spying satellites, that those slimy little satellites which China helps Pakistan in terms of gaining intelligence, even those won't be of any help if this system was to be deployed. And plus, by offering joint production, the Russians are ensuring that we Indians have a safe base to fall on. If the Ukraine conflict in the future was to expand beyond reasonable limits, and if India was again to be drawn into a war like this, India will not be left hanging, because we would possess the technical know-how of how to make the S-500, and therefore we may not need Russia to be fully involved with us. We can do the production on our own. This is the difference between handing over a fish to a man and teaching him how to fish. The Russians, ever since we established our relations with them, want us to know how to fish. And that brings me to the most important issue. Now, after seeing the humiliating reverses in the air defense, humiliating reverses in terms of air-to-air combat, China is fuming. They are fuming to the extent that they have halved the price of their J-35 5th-gen fighters, and they have shortened the delivery timeline to August 2025. Yes, my dear friends, Islamabad will be equipped with the J-35 5th-gen fighter jet of China by August this year. So here comes in the offer that we've always had since Feb this year, that is for the TOT and joint production of the Sukhoi 57 Felon. We have to go for this jet. There is not a matter of ifs and buts anymore. We need at least 5 to 6 squadrons of this jet, either off-the-shelf procurements or jointly produced, as a major stopgap measure that is there. The AMCA isn't flying until at least 8 to 10 years from now. So the Su-57 combined with the S-500 will be a deadly combo which will Russify our entire airspace. And if we've learnt anything from the aerial front, in the Russia-Ukraine war. Western Russia and Eastern Ukraine, the Russian jets are raining hell on Ukraine, and frustrated NATO and Ukrainian military are shooting missiles, fighter jets, drones, everything onto Russian soil, only to be shot down a few kilometers outside Russia's borders. So, we've seen the supremacy of Russia's air defense systems. We've seen the supremacy of its fighter jets. All we need to do is clinch these two offers. 60 to 70 billion dollars is nothing at the cost of securing your airspace, my dear friends. And this will push Russo-Indian ties to the good old days of the Soviet Union. Indeed, you purchase these two systems from Russia, you will propel our relations at least 3 to 4 decades into the future as being the thickest possible partnership in this ever turbulent and ever uncertain arena of international relations, my dear friends. So, we've got wars coming, but our alliances are strong. Our strategic investments are strong. I'm sure with the resilience of our government and the farsightedness of our leadership and the partnership of our allies, we will be able to navigate this through, and the golden days of India are not far before we clench our rightful place as a major global superpower. Thank you so much, friends. Jai Hind. Take care.